Whose narrative are you living? You're born, the people around you tell you all sorts of stories. They're called narratives. And religions have narratives, and governments have narratives, and authority figures have narratives, and your friends and your family have narratives, and your neighbors have narratives, and humanity has a narrative. And whose narrative are you living? Are you living your own narrative, or were you taught other people's narratives when you came into this world? Very important question to ask. Because you wouldn't want to live someone else's life, would you? You'd want to live your own life, and you'd want to make your own choices, and you'd want to experience your own joy and not someone else's. So with all these narratives in mind, there's one big narrative lately on human nature saying human nature is violent or it's corrupt or whatever. Well, that argument actually falls apart because human nature is simply the ability to adapt as a human. And neurology is what ties all of us humans together. It's what connects us all. And the reason that the corruption and violence is human nature argument falls apart, it collapses onto itself like the World Trade Centers, is because humans die without being violent. They are born, they can even live a few years. This has happened a lot. And the kids pass away and they never use violence, which means the initiation of force against another person. Well, that's weird because wasn't human nature supposed to be violence or corruption? Well, human nature is simply the ability to adapt as a human. So it's kind of like thriving. It's a striving for thriving. It's what the brain does. The brain tries to align itself for greater modes of living. The meaning of life is to live. So human nature involves the human being adapting to its environment. So things are languages that we learn. We learn the language of violence. We learn language. We learn how to cook a meal. We learn how to console a friend or use empathy or communicate clearly. We learn all these things. So humans are amazing creatures because they have so much capacity to adapt. We have an incredible amount of capacity for self-transcendence, and we're really just the shit as the human race because we can go so far if we get rid of the false narratives and take the red pill and simply understand that we create our narrative.